Right, I promised I'd talk about this. Let's discuss the Formula E driver protest. Because it's the second time in as many years that an FIA World Championship has seen pretty much all of the competitors sign a letter going to the president. In this case, it was everybody. It was all of the 20 current drivers sending a letter to Mohammed bin Sulayem about the substandards in kind of like stewarding direction and application of regulations they felt were inconsistencies. The kind of things that Dan Tickton was complaining about a few weeks ago. Now, as I talked about in the general notes around the time, Dan Tickton, the best way to describe him is he's an interesting gentleman with some interesting opinions, which may exist on the fringe of, say, the political scenes here in the UK, for instance, his native Britain. But interestingly, somebody who's also had some, I would also say, interesting political takes over the years in Lucas di Grassi, has spoken to the race since about it as well, saying that, well, the drivers tried talking, they tried raising these things, and they went behind their bosses' backs. Some bosses were aware that this kind of letter may have been in the works. They weren't aware it was going to be sent. They weren't aware that everybody had signed it until it ended up in the public eye. And yeah, di Grassi's got a lot of quotes in this article by Sam Smith of the race. I'll link both these things in the description section down below. And I mean, somebody in the comment section described it as the most di Grassi way of talking, and in a way it is. Like, di Grassi is a very well-read man in a lot of different aspects, which is why it's interesting that you see him say about black box thinking by former squash champion and now medium commentator Matthew Syed. It's interesting when you have a race driver who's talking about, yeah, I read this book and it's got this idea and I'm applying it in this circumstance. I think he's more academic than some academics are. But, yeah. The question is a matter of, is it fair that all the drivers speak out? Will it have a negative impact on Formula E? I don't really think so. I think the people who are likely to be annoyed about it would be more people who are interested in the assets and capital. It could harm the value of the championship if you see the drivers criticising the championship. I don't think they got any fines from the FIA about this, by the way. I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, they didn't. But I think the fans understand it. I think many fans didn't want to back it originally because it was Tickton who was being loud about it, and Tickton got into an argument with a journalist, didn't he, over Instagram. So I could understand people apprehensive about it when it was Tickton, but I think that the concerns were still there even when he was saying it. They were like, okay, Tickton's making the point. I'm not sure how much I'm going to follow this, but it is an interesting point. I think I probably even said something similar at the time. But at the end of the day, the FIA is the FIA is the FIA. We saw what happened in the election last year. So you can hope for change. But expect that the same guy's going to get back in anyways. And on that note, folks, I wish it was a more positive note to end it on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Until next time, bye for now.